city of Philly, where the birds take flight. Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Marcus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. Flying guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle soaring in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle soaring in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.
And we're back.
What's goody? What's goody? What's goody?
Man,
how you feeling, dog?
A lot of stuff going on. Another day closer to football.
Yeah, man. This is that part of the year where everybody drops their list for every category.
And you know how much I love lists.
Lists, there's a place for lists in sports discourse, right? Like there has to be a place for it because, I mean, everyone's list isn't good, but and some people take the opportunity to give flowers when they make lists. Some people take the opportunity to be inflammatory when they make lists. Some people are unbiased, objective. I feel like you can always get a sense for someone's intention when you just read how a list goes and what the list is supposed to represent. You can always just kind of get a sense for it, even if you're not there with them making the list, even if you don't know them personally. You can always kind of get a little bit of a sense of, oh, okay, I see how you look at the game.
Right.
Listen,
I see what your logic is and where you're looking at. To me, lists nowadays, lists are specifically and only for conversation.
Yeah.
There is no power to them. There is no logic to them. Everything really comes down to opinions. And this is not like something that we didn't know before, but the volume is a hell of a lot louder now because of social media. And you can go out there and put something out, and then all of a sudden you get 50,000 likes on your tweet. And then of course you've got the popular opinion. Doesn't make it right. It just means you're the most popular. So putting all of that into the pot, I'm still, as a former player, it all comes down to what happens when you step on that field. And to me, that's, even with the conversations we have about Jalen, everything that happened with Lamar and Josh Allen, all of those people with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, at the end of the day, you got to step on that field and put your hand in the dirt. And then the list ain't going to help you.
Exactly.
So, I make a joke where I say assholes and elbows. I was not a big trash talker because I was a running back. And when guys would talk trash to me, the only thing I would tell them is assholes and elbows, because that's all you're going to see of me as I'm going in the end zone. Because the time for talk is done. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you're talking crap to me on a 7-yard gain, that don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? So that's all it is in the preseason, in camp, the stuff that we doing, the list that happen, that all these lists pop up. And you know how people do now, Tone. People are putting inflammatory and trollish type content out on purpose because they know it'll get a response, period.
Right.
That's it in a nutshell. They're not trying to keep it football. They're not trying to stick to the point. They're trying to promote a narrative or sway people one way or other for whatever situation. And I've come to this, man. If we are talking about a subject, and I got my opinion and you got your opinion, it is not my job to try to persuade you. And that's where people get lost. It's not my job.
I've been working on that. I've been working on that. And like I've been specifically trying to say to myself whenever I'm in discourse with other people about any sort of topics, I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to simply tell you my perspective, and if I happen to convince you, oh, that's a plus. But
that's a plus.
I'm not here to change your mind. The reason the discourse is happening is because we likely have differings of opinions.
Right.
So, and that always leads to a fun conversation, right? Especially when it's kept respectful. It's funny because we're in that time where players are taking more accountability for their brands. Players are taking more control of their narratives. And if they see something they feel is inflammatory towards them, or if they see something that they feel doesn't show them in the best light, they're going to respond to it.
Yeah.
And I do love that part of where we are in just media and just communication in general. I love the fact that people can't really hide their hands anymore. If you say something, someone can and likely will address you.
Yeah.
And I just always think it's a fine line. Obviously, you don't want to be that athlete that's responding to everything, and you don't want to be that commentator, that analyst, that media personality that's always trying to get a rise out of people, right? But what happens when, because there's something going on right now in the Eagles Baltimore Ravens space. Shout out to my man Miles Johnson. He covers the game. He's also he has a channel. He's really strong on social media. He essentially dropped the video regarding Lamar Jackson, right?
Okay.
And he wasn't disrespectful. He didn't call him out his name. He didn't say he was a bum. He didn't say nothing like that. But he was emboldened. He was speaking with passion.
Right.
And he essentially was like, "Yo, I'm talking to Lamar. I'm talking about Lamar Jackson. How they talk about Jalen Hurts. You got the roster. You got this. Y'all signed Jalen Alexander. Y'all got one of the best secondaries in the league now. Y'all got one of the best defenses. You got the best tight end duo in football, likely Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. You got an ascending star in Zay Flowers. You got you got a legit number 2 receiver in Rashad Bateman, who had a strong year last year. You got Derrick Henry. You got the offensive line. You got the coaching. You got the front office. Like you got the talent. You got the MVPs, right. All pros. Like
you got the squad.
Yeah, you have accomplished so much in your career, and you have had strong roster after strong roster, and you've had opportunity after opportunity. And when the team builds a roster like this, there is no, oh, let's just get to the conference championship, see what happens. No, when teams build, when the Ravens build a roster like that, that's Super Bowl or bust. So
exactly.
there's no more excuses.
Exactly.
That's what he said. There's no more excuses, basically. And I paraphrased, but that was the essence of what he was saying.
You know what? I saw that. I did not watch the whole video.
Yeah.
But I saw the clips. I never thought to go back and watch it. I might have to do that. But
yeah,
that's to my point.
And Lamar responded to that real quick. Lamar responded. Yeah. That's the reason I brought it up, because Lamar responded to him.
Well, I mean, if you're spitting facts.
And the thing is, though, and that's the part about it, right? Because I don't mind Lamar responding. I thought that was pretty dope. But the essence in how he responded was kind of disingenuous.
For Lamar?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
how did he respond?
I can read it to you. It's pretty easy.
Ain't that what Pusha T said? How do you respond?
Oh, look at your KOG.
Yes, sir. I like Pusha, man. I like Pusha.
For sure. All right, so okay, Lamar, and also, by the way, this discourse ended up being featured on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp. So
okay,
it was.
Oh, he got blown up a little bit for that.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool moment. He was already doing well on social media, but like shout out to Miles Johnson, man. He stood 10 toes down too. He made another video after that. He stood 10 toes. But remind you, the key thing that Miles was trying to get across was no more excuses.
Right.
No more excuses. That was the essence of what he was saying. No more excuses.
Fair. Yeah.
Lamar said, I love how y'all lame stay on my pipe. Lamar, no excuses. When the F have I ever complained? Just say we have a solid on-paper roster so far. All that other ish not called for. You don't play for the Eagles, little bruh. Continue to be a fan of the game.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
Now, granted, it was laced with laughing emojis and a purple heart. I don't think Lamar took it but so personal, but it sparked something in him.
Came out a little bit salty.
Right.
Came out a little bit salty.
And again, I love that Lamar responded. I ultimately don't have a problem with him responding. I know some people in this space hate when athletes respond. They feel like they should be above it. Nah, like if you're talking crazy, you should be able to back that up if the conversation ever come your way. But Lamar, I think the part that seems a little bit disingenuous to me is, when he said Lamar no excuses, when have I ever complained? That part.
Right.
That statement, there's no more excuses. I don't think Miles was implying that you complain. That part. Like, I don't think the implied message is you're complaining about not having enough.
Right.
Or I don't think the implied message is
I just from what you told me, I agree.
Yeah, like I don't think the implied message is, hey, Lamar is always pointing the finger to other people.
Correct.
Lamar has always taken accountability for whatever goes on in that football field. That's one thing I'll give Lamar credit for. He takes full responsibility for what happens on that football field. He wants to win. He plays hard. It's never a lack of effort. Now, the results are the results. So I think Miles' overall sentiment was, hey, there's people who make excuses for you. Or like people with your talent in this roster should not be folding the way they do in those spots. So, again, Lamar clearly was being, he was being playful,
trying to be light,
trying to be light, but I still felt like it sparked a little, it kindled something, just a little bit.
You're not wrong, because in a situation like that, regardless of how you intend it to be, the optics of it and how somebody takes it are two totally different things.
Yeah.
Everybody's been in that situation with a friend, with a spouse, with a coworker, where you said it, you thought it was innocent, you thought it was one way, and somebody else took it totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to my original point. Miles is not going to convince Lamar one way or the other.
Right.
But the season is going to start nonetheless. And when Lamar gets under center and does what he needs to do, we're going to get to week 17 and we might be having the same conversation. No excuses. And because I didn't think it was an excuse. Lamar did what he had to do, and I love how everybody, if you look at the game that they lost, the mistakes that Lamar made. Tell me a game where somebody doesn't make a mistake. Tell me a game where a quarterback doesn't make a mistake. Everybody's going to make a mistake. However, when push came to shove and he had to make a play at that particular time, he made the play. It was somebody else that failed. But because he's the quarterback, he's got to shoulder that burden.
And they're going to bring up every decision you made leading up to that point to put you in that situation.
I know this might be.
It comes with the territory. It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Even though it can be, the quarterback position is an unfair position.
It is.
It's an unfair position. You get all the if you're not Jalen Hurts,
you get most of the praise and all of the
win. Yeah, you get most of the praise unless your name is Jalen Hurts.
Correct.
Otherwise,
you get all the blame and none of the praise.
Exactly. So,
hey, but don't this sound a little bit like what your boy Gilbert Arenas was saying to Stephen A?
Are you talking?
Did you hear that conversation?
Yo, I didn't hear that whole conversation, but I heard that conversation was going up because
it was. But T-Mac had a point.
I think Stephen A tried to say if Giannis doesn't win another championship, it's a failure or it's an underachievement, something like that, right? They talked about a few things, didn't they?
Yeah, but I understand Stephen A's point, and I also understand T-Mac's point. So what Gilbert was saying was,
fill me in, yeah.
What Gilbert was saying was, and this does apply to what we're talking about in football, especially with Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
When you are the guy and you don't win the rings, you don't win the chip, all the blame is on you. If you are a Robin character, if you are a sidekick character, an assist,
Yeah.
you don't catch as much of that blame, but you get more praise when you finally make it. An example he used was, now this is Gilbert talking, and I thought this is when, like, you couldn't refute it. He said when Kobe won 3 rings, because it was Shaq and Kobe was still considered the Robin to Shaq's Batman. He was the assist. He was the Pippin.
Right.
So his point was, when and all of this is coming off of LeBron's comments about ring culture, he was like, when does the team goal get overshadowed by individual accomplishments? That was the original point. And Gilbert was like, hold on. It's always been about the team. You can't win a championship without the team.
Right.
We was in that same boat. Jalen Hurts can't do it. We get to 2 and 3 years. Then it automatically, they move the goalposts and then, he had a stacked team. Well, that's what you're supposed to have.
That's the goal. The goal is to build that.
That's the goal.
And if all of these other teams, possible.
If all of these other teams, with the exception of the Chiefs, if they had stacked teams, maybe they would have won it too.
Correct.
Or at least a little bit more help. So it does correlate in regard to Lamar, because you had the pieces. You had the pieces before. They had the same conversation. Is anything going to change if they get Jair Alexander? Does it change if he gets hurt? Does it change if the tight end drops the ball again? Is that on Lamar? So there's always going to be that question. People are never going to be satisfied one way or the other.
Yeah, there's too many variables in sports.
Exactly.
And if you're eloquent enough and clever enough and witty enough, you can weave together any sort of narrative to prove your point. And the reality is, it's not all on Lamar to win those games. It's not. It's not all on Jalen Hurts to win those games.
No. And real quick, KGK, Hurts doesn't have that problem now. Now he got over the hump, but you know what it was before.
Yeah, and I think that's where people's that part right there. I think that's where people start to draw the line of the guys they think are better than others, when guys can overcome that hump.
Exactly.
Right.
And you cannot convince them one way or the other. Like, I watched the stuff. Are you on that show? Or is that just like with LB, where he be with the other guys from the NFC East?
Oh, yeah, that's his LB. It's NFC
like
East Super Friends, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've watched that a couple times, and
shout out those guys.
Shout out to LB.
Shout out those guys, man.
Everybody's putting out facts. Now, when the season gets started, those facts become very, very opinionated and very, very biased. Rightfully so, because we in the midst of the season. But everybody's putting out their own spin on it based on what they see in their own city. They're not worried about what we're doing up here. They're not worried. Even when we go back and forth with Dallas fans, we got the chip, and they still talking smack. So there is no way that you're gonna convince them otherwise. So at the end of the day, when our guys put our hands in the dirt and y'all guys put their hands in the dirt, that's when the questions are going to be solved. And even when it gets solved week to week to week, from opening week all the way up to week 17, everybody's still going to have issues. You know, we'll go 5-0, and somebody will be like, yeah, well, Jalen ain't throwing for 300 yards a game.
Yeah.
You're not going to satisfy everybody. So from that standpoint, it is what it is, and we just got to go with what we got and keep it working. Everybody can't do that.
Yeah. It's difficult to sustain winning. It's difficult to sustain things in the NFL period, right? The easiest thing to sustain is losing, especially for making bad decisions. But you know, I think, you know, I look at this game in particular, you know, I see Jalen Hurts as a guy. I know Jalen Hurts isn't the most, how do you say, could I find quarterbacks that probably have a stronger arm than Jalen Hurts? Sure. Could I find quarterbacks that probably run faster than Jalen Hurts? Sure. Could I find quarterbacks that are taller, more domineering, whatever, however you want to
Whatever metric you want to use.
Whatever metric. Can I find a quarterback that does that better than Jalen Hurts? Sure, I can. But at the end of the day, the quarterback position is 80% here, 20% everything else. 80% here, 20% everything else. That's my opinion. And I feel like there's places your mind can take you where your body probably can't, because your body has limitations. Your mind does not. And I feel like Jalen Hurts has been a player that has always played beyond his physical limitations. He's always been somebody who's produced beyond his physical limitations. And
see, but I take issue with that. I take issue with the fact that you even have to say it like that. What is a physical limitation?
That's a good point. What is the physical limitation? So when I say physical limitation, that goes back to what I said about guys with stronger arms or that's faster or whatever. You know, all the things they use to build their quarterback, right? Their perfect quarterback, right? And everyone's eyes, Josh Allen is like the perfect quarterback to build. Tall,
right,
fast, big arm, elusive, powerful, accurate. You know, like all those kind of things. So Jalen Hurts, he's 6 feet. Jalen Hurts is not Lamar Jackson fast.
How tall is Patrick?
That's a good question.
How tall is Patrick Mahomes?
I think Mahomes like 6'2", 6'3", something like that.
Exactly. He ain't Josh Allen big.
No, not at all. No.
Who got a better arm, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes?
As far as pure power?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I feel like people would say Josh Allen, but
Josh Allen all day, bro.
Yeah.
Who's faster?
But I also think Mahomes hasn't been throwing it deep these past couple of years.
Yeah, but to your
point,
but
the better athlete is Josh Allen.
Correct.
Yeah, the better athlete.
So if you by that metric alone, and that's the metric everybody wants to use as to why Josh Allen is so much better and Jalen Hurts isn't. By that metric alone, every advantage that Josh Allen has not mattered.
That's my point when I bring all that up, right? My point is that despite all those physical traits or traits that people want to give people or limitations they want to throw on people, whatever it is, Jalen Hurts has proven that this game is bigger than just talent.
Right.
This game is big. This game is more nuanced than just putting up all these numbers.
Right.
And is Mahomes 6'4"? Okay. Hey, listen, I don't know. I don't really. Is he 6'4"? Cool. Is he 6'4"? I know Allen is like 6'6", right? My point is the overall point is
Patrick Mahomes is 6'2".
Oh, 6'2". I was right the first time. Okay. Yeah, I was right. I know I ain't tripping. He don't look 6'4" personally.
No.
But nonetheless, again, I just think Jalen Hurts is somebody who has overcome so much in his career. He's overcome doubt. He's overcome the limitations people have placed on him.
Right.
I think Jalen Hurts is somebody who has always maximized his opportunities.
Exactly.
And I think that's the best you can hope for from your quarterback. I don't care. See, my thing is, I don't care what he look like, how he get it done. Does that guy win games?
I had to laugh at that.
I mean, it's the truth, though.
It is the truth.
See, this isn't just a Lamar Jackson exclusive conversation either, right? It's Josh Allen as well. These guys, I just saw a list, right? I think NFL came up with like their best rosters and stuff like that, and their top rosters.
Yeah.
Some of the lists have the Eagles number one. Some of the lists have the Ravens number one. Some of the lists have the Bills number one. So all I'm trying to say is, right, there's no excuses for these teams. Stop calling the Eagles a super team. Stop doing that.
Right.
Because that was never the case before the season started. That was never the case during the season. You only started calling us that after we won it all.
After we won it all. Because remember, everybody thought we were crazy for signing Saquon in the first place.
Yeah. They were
giving him all that money.
They questioned the linebacker position, rightfully so, because we didn't know what that was going to do.
Exactly.
I mean, I had my educated guesses, but I didn't expect an all-pro out of Zach Bond. But nonetheless, these other players, these other quarterbacks that they love, they have good rosters.
Yeah. Yes.
The Bills have a good roster. The Ravens have a good roster. The Lions have a good roster. These teams have good rosters. You know what I'm saying? The only team that probably got a funny roster is Bengals because they one-sided the way they build it.
Why you disrespect my hometown like that, though?
I'm just saying they build their teams a little funny down there.
Man, they Cincinnati is so backwards, man. They've always been like that, bro. We haven't had a good team since Ocho left.
Oh my goodness!
And then with Burrow,
but you know, all I'm trying to say is, man, like these quarterbacks have good rosters. Stop talking about these like they don't like their GMs are not good at their jobs.
Yeah, and nobody says this when Josh Allen throws for 400 or Lamar throws for 400. Nobody says that. Nobody talks about all the problems that they got. All they talk about is how well of a game that the quarterback had.
Mm-hmm.
I find that interesting. It's like, well, which one is it? If they have a stacked team or they don't, it's like that pretty much through the whole year.
Yeah.
And then what happens? You get somebody that, hey, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see Zach Bond playing like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I didn't think Quinyon Mitchell was going to be that good as a rookie. I didn't think Cooper DeJean was going to be that good as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
But we had the same people in camp. Everybody saw the same things that we saw. And sometimes it works, sometimes it works. How come ain't nobody giving Harbaugh the business?
Exactly.
He done had one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history.
One of the best rosters.
Two-time MVP.
Some of the best defenses, some of the best rosters, like the best quarterback. Like nobody looking at John Harbaugh, right?
Yep. But Sirianni is the goofball, though, right?
Right. And people love saying Sean McVay this, Sean McVay that. Sean McVay has never beat Nick Sirianni.
No.
Never.
And I like McVay.
I like McVay too.
He got a chip. And he got a chip. So you can put him in a separate category. But to your point, he done struggled against the goofball too.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, and to me, that's just proof that more people follow the narrative than they do the facts.
Hey, listen, why are we obsessed with quarterback suffering? And
good question.
And there's something to it that's really strange to me. It's like if you didn't get it out if you didn't get it out the mud, if you didn't have to struggle to get it done, it doesn't matter as much.
It don't count.
Right?
Yeah.
It don't count. And I'm talking strictly in the confines of football, not life. So because I respect people who get it out the mud more so than people who are given things in real life. But in sports, it's a different conversation because GMs have a responsibility to build their roster and prepare the best roster they can going into the upcoming season. That's their responsibility. And the player's responsibility is to maximize the opportunities given by said roster, right? So when you have a guy like Jalen Hurts who suffered in 2021, he had to play with Jalen Reagor, had to play with Quez Watkins, you know what I mean? Had to deal with John Hightower.
Took his lumps
in 2021, grinded to a 9-8 record. And then from that point forward, the Eagles figured out how to build the roster around them. 2022 was like, okay, this is how we're going to do this around them. And this isn't just a Jalen Hurts conversation. Why do we give more credit to the guy who's struggling? Even though he's talented, even though he's an MVP, why do we give more credit to a guy that has less and does more and dismiss the guy who who's talented but doesn't have to do as much because he has pieces around him? My whole point is, like, you have guys, GMs are supposed to build their roster the best way they know how. And I would never use the construction of a roster to dismiss a player's contributions or dismiss their talent or dismiss what they've accomplished with that roster. If Josh Allen had, when he had Stephon Diggs, let's say they would have found a way to get, I don't know, DK Metcalf, and then, somehow, some way they got Jalen Ramsey on that defense, and whatever it is, however they build the roster. I'm not going to look at Josh Allen and say, nah, he didn't suffer enough. He not that good. He got a stacked roster. I'm not going to look at Lamar Jackson as one of the best rosters in football. I'm not going to look at Lamar Jackson less if he wins a Super Bowl with that roster. He did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
So Jalen Hurts, he did what he was supposed to do with that roster. We talk all the time about the rosters that could have been. You know what I'm saying? The teams that could have been. What if Cam would have won that Super Bowl against the Broncos? What if he would have jumped in that fumble?
Right.
That Carolina roster was good. Like there's so many teams that could have became like dynasties, whatever it may be, but that loss offsetted everything. So I don't believe in quarterback suffering. I believe GMs should do everything possible to put the best team around their quarterbacks. I don't look at quarterbacks less than because they got talent around them. I think that's lazy. I think that's corny. I think it's one of the worst ways to digest sports, because the goal of every GM in every sport, every manager, put the best product on the field. And now we deducting points from guys because they maximize the best product on the field. I think that's weird to me.
At the end of the day, everybody wants to. They still want to talk to the popular girl. They still want to talk to the popular guy. They want to be around that person, regardless of what their attitude is, regardless of their personality, regardless of if they're a troublemaker, because everybody's still going to those metrics we talked about. Because everybody, can you imagine, just imagine in your mind's eye, can you imagine what type of promotion and visibility Trevor Lawrence would have if he had Jalen Hurts' stats?
I think if you swap their names on the back of their jerseys, I think if you swap them and everything's the same, they're talking about Trevor Lawrence as, he lived up to that number 1 overall pick expectation.
Exactly. That's my point.
All that kind of stuff. And real quick, I want to address something because somebody is questioning my position when I say, in real life, when I say people get out the mud, like I respect that a lot more. Than people who are given things in life, because I think in life you do want to earn things. But I mentioned sports is different because people have roles in sports, and the GM has a role. See, in life, you're the architect of your life, and only you and God. You're the architect of your life. So a lot more of the result is dependent upon you. Hence why I respect people who get it out the mud in real life. Because most of the result is primarily based off of everything you've done, everything you have to do. Whereas those sports, everything is not solely reliant upon you. You have a GM, you have a quarterback, you got your coach, you got people who have defined roles. And it's up to people to maximize what their defined roles are given. Because that's the way it's supposed to work. The GM gives the coach the roster. The coach gives the roster the directives. And it's up for the roster to execute on the directives. And I'm not going to dismiss a guy for executing on the directives that was given by his coach. And I'm not going to dismiss the coach that was given the roster by the GM and so on and so forth. Like, I'm not going to dismiss guys because people are good at their jobs.
Yeah.
That's my point. Real life, it's different, because most of the time the results are based solely on your cumulative efforts or lack thereof. Sports, it's more nuanced and more variables involved. So therefore, again, I say, I'm not going to dismiss a guy who has a GM who's good at his job. I'm not going to dismiss a coach that has a quarterback that's good at his job.
Yeah. Ask Tennessee how that's working out for him.
There's no coach. There's no Hall of Fame head coach. Well, I don't want to say none, but most of these coaches that y'all laud over, they got there because they had a quarterback that could get the job done.
Players make the difference.
They had the players. We don't dismiss coaches who had the players. We don't dismiss Andy Reid for having Patrick Mahomes, do we? We don't. We say Andy Reid is the man. We say Andy Reid is one of the architects of this sport. Like, we don't dismiss that. You know what I'm saying? So again, people can act dense all they want. I'm stating my position very clearly, very succinctly. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. That goes back to our point earlier. Listen, I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to state my side of things.
Exactly. Ashon, that's a good point. Nobody was worried about Barkley when we didn't have him. We lost that Super Bowl on the questionable play at the end. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. So But yeah, wasn't nobody worried about it then. So, and then when we get him, now he's the only reason. Like, come on, come on. And the way we won it, the way we won it. Thank you for that.
Prove to you he wasn't the only reason. The way we won it proved to you he wasn't the only reason.
He wasn't. Kansas City did exactly what they wanted to do. They bottled up Saquon Barkley.
They wanted Jalen Hurts to beat him.
Jalen Hurts had to beat him, and guess what?
And he did.
Jalen Hurts
he did that. Did that in spades.
He torched him.
Did it in spades.
So, everybody jumped into that Patrick Mahomes Kool-Aid, and I'll say rightfully so. But at the end of the day, you still got to watch the tapes.
Yeah,
you still got to understand what you're dealing with. And Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately, doesn't play offensive line. Patrick Mahomes doesn't play defense. He doesn't play DB. He's not a strong safety.
Magic only lasts but so long. That pixie dust only lasts but so long. At some point, the film has to matter. At some point, the personnel has to matter. That pixie dust, that Mahomes, that Patrick pixie dust it's that only can get you but so far. And this was a reminder to that Chiefs Nation that Patrick Mahomes pixie dust can only carry you but so far. You know what I'm saying? You still need an offensive line.
Still need an offensive line, or you'll be running for your life.
You still need guys that need to do their job. You feel what I'm saying? You know, and that's why I think the Eagles Super Bowl window is wider than ever.
Absolutely, I agree.
Because you got guys on this team that maximize opportunities. You got guys on this team that are talented, they're young, they're spry. Cooper DeJean, he was just named the best slot corner in football, according to someone on ESPN.
On ESPN?
However they use their metrics, whatever. I'm taking it. They said he's the best slot corner in football. Hey, so be it, so be it. Shout out to Pusha T. You know, the Super Bowl window is wide because you got guys like Quinyon Mitchell, you got a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, you got guys like AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, you got guys like Saquon Barkley, that offensive line, the D line, Jalen Carter. Like, you know, this window is open because you got a guy like Vic Fangio. You got people who know how to do their jobs. Like, this Eagles Super Bowl window is open and will remain open as long as they continue to do what they do. You got guys that are young, in their primes, well coached, they're healthy for the most part. They attract winning.
Yeah.
Right. You got they're like, prior to the Super Bowl, there's a lot of winners on this roster.
Bruh, you know we got to get into that article by about Nicole Lynn
regarding
Jalen's contract.
Jalen's contract. I couldn't wait to talk to you about that.
Listen, let me tell you,
because that's another reason why the window's open.
That's why the window's open. Because you talking about a quarterback who put the word out league wide. You come here, I'm gonna make sure you get your money. I'm gonna make sure you get your bag, your paper, everything you're looking for. If you come here and ball the way we hope you can ball, you're gonna get yours. It's gonna be worth your while. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen all the time. But if you don't get paid, it ain't gonna be because of me. I'm gonna make sure you have the opportunity.
Or, hey, you come here. If we don't pay you, you come here, we can position you so somebody else will.
Facts.
That's what the Eagles have done over the past, at least during the Jalen Hurts era. Let's just say that at least. During the Jalen Hurts era, during the Nick Sirianni era, they positioned this team to become a destination for players to not only revitalize their careers, but establish a career. Zach Bond established a career. Saquon Barkley revitalized his career. AJ Brown, he redefined his career coming here.
Yeah, he did. He was already good.
He was already good. He became great. He became elite here. Devontae Smith built his career here. You know what I'm saying? Created his career here. So, like, this Eagles team, Darius Slay redefined his career in Philadelphia.
Oh, nobody knew Slay was that good.
Redefined his career. I mean, he was the first team All-Pro prior to Philly. But he has 3 consecutive Pro Bowls in back-to-back seasons. Playing at the level he's played. Becton redefined his career, revamped his career. I'm trying to think who else, man. The bottom line is this Eagles team, this organization, because Jalen Hurts, and look, he's still getting paid what he's getting paid, but his contract is constructed in a way that it allows other people to still get their money. Now, I'm not a cap whiz, so I don't know how that works, but I assume he's taken a loss at some point because he'll get it back somewhere else.
He knows that. You can't. I saw somebody responding to the Nicole Lynn interview, and they basically said it is like he understands that he can't win championships if he doesn't have star players around him. The star players around him are not going to come or stay if they can't get paid. And he understands that. The fact that at the time your agent made you the highest paid player in the NFL and you need her to explain the contract to you
before you sign it,
so you can look at the salary cap to make sure your teammates can still get paid. That's like putting the bat signal up, and instead of the Batman signal, it's a damn dollar sign.
Because think about it. If let's just say he wants to get the Eagles for everything he can get them for. Let's just say that, right? And he doesn't care about the cap ramifications.
And that is not uncommon.
And it's not uncommon. There's guys who just, hey, how much I'm gonna get paid a year? What's my guarantee money? All right, cool. And they look at it as it's the organization's responsibility to figure out how to make the numbers work.
How you think we got Saquon?
Fair, right? Fair. It is the responsibility of the organization to figure out how to make the numbers work. But I also think as a player, you do have a responsibility to know how your contract impacts the players around you and impacts your situation. Because I'm all for players getting their money. But be careful what you ask for. It may affect you in other ways that you didn't foresee.
Exactly.
That's not monetary, right? So in Jalen Hurts' case, he had the foresight to say, hey, look, I don't want to know anything about the contract. Just let me know when things are done, then we'll talk from there. She said, I made you the highest paid guy. He was like, I ain't asked you to do all that.
I ain't asked for all of that.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And she was like, oh, okay. I mean, like, but like, she was playing, it was all in jest. But like the point is, she was like, Jalen, he made it abundantly clear. And she said she's never really worked with a client like that before who doesn't really know, who doesn't want to know what's going on until it's done. She said he made it abundantly clear he needs to know how this contract affects the cap on a year-to-year basis before he accepts it. Like you said, he understands the assignment. He knows that no man is an island. He speaks it, he lives it, he carries himself that way. And he's proven that you can still get your money and still win. Yeah, you can still get your money and still win. He's the first quarterback. He's the first $50 million quarterback to win the Super Bowl. And they talked a lot about how, remember when these quarterbacks were starting to get 40+ million? The narrative was, how you gonna build the team when you paying guys? How you gonna build the team? How you gonna build the team around that? How you gonna build the team around that? And Jalen Hurts, Hobby Roseman proved that it is possible, but it's only possible when you have all hands on deck. If Jalen Hurts doesn't sign his contract as it currently is, with the salary cap relief that it provides, what if that may put us in a position where we can't re-up AJ Brown the second time. We can't re-sign Devontae Smith. We can't sign Saquon Barkley, right? It's a few things we probably wouldn't be able to do.
No one thinks about that until you're in the middle of the season and it's 3rd and 8 and you need that playmaker to make a play.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it comes. Then you're like, who we got out there? Who? And this is, to me, who are you game planning?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one good thing about the Eagles right now. You look at AJ, you look at Saquon, you look at Devontae, you look at Jalen Hurts. That's 4 people you got a game plan for. That means you have to come up with a defensive scheme specifically to stop that player. You don't do every team does not have one of those players where you have to game plan. All right, we're going to spend a whole day in film session to figure out a way to stop him. And we got 4 of them on offense. And then we got what we got on defense. So if people want to try to downplay it, that's like when you get the new car and say, "Oh, I like your little car there." They try to downplay it.
I don't like
Yes.
when people. I don't like that. I'll be honest. They get under my skin.
They try to downplay it.
Look
Oh,
at your
I
little
like your little,
podcast.
I like your little defense in Philadelphia. Okay.
I like your little YouTube channel, Marcus. You're doing well.
Yeah, you're doing all right. I see you. I see your little channel up there. All right. I see your little subscribe. They don't want it. They try to downplay it because they know they ain't got it.
Yo.
And we are in that situation where, in my opinion, I think Washington is going to be good. Dallas is going to be better, but I don't think Dallas is better than Washington, and I don't think Washington is better than us.
Right.
So, and the Giants are just what the Giants are. They 3-4 years away, and mark my words, I think Jackson Dart might be a mistake, but we'll see. It'll play itself out.
You think?
It'll play itself out.
You know, since we're talking about contracts and just how the ramifications of signing a big contract, when it's always easier to be amicable with your organization when your organization is committed to you and committed to winning. And when I look at teams like the Cowboys, who allowed Dak Prescott to sign a $60 million contract when he hasn't done anything to really prove that he's worth that personally. And I hate getting into that kind of talk because I never want to really talk about what a man is worth. But the results that he's provided hasn't indicated that is how you pay that personally. I think that's the most judicial way I can put it. The results and the compensation don't match to me. That's my opinion. What also makes it stranger, he's making $5 more million than the next guy, Joe Burrow. Typically, when the escalators come in, when the market shifts, a guy may get an extra $1 million or $2 million there, like $5 more million than the next guy. And then in Cincinnati with the Bengals, Jamar Chase making $40 million at wide receiver. The next guy's making 35 or 34, whatever it is. Like a $5 million disparity between the highest paid and the second highest paid. I'm trying to understand, and the point I'm trying to get to is when you have an organization that's really that you sense is not really committed to the best possible result, I can't even blame a guy for whacking up all that money. I can't.
Because I
can't blame Dak Prescott for whacking them for $60 million. I can't blame him. Even though I say the results in the competition don't match, I can't blame Dak Prescott for saying, "Yeah, give me that $60 million." I can't blame him for that. I can't blame Jamar Chase for taking that $40 million back for the Bengals. Because why wouldn't you? They dumb. Why wouldn't you? And guess what? Jamar Chase may not even retire in Cincinnati. Dak Prescott may not end his career in Dallas. He may not. Who knows? But when you have a team that's committed to winning and you see it's possible, you're way more amicable. You're way more liable to take slight little haircuts financially because you trust the organization that is going to do everything possible to do the best thing with the money.
Right.
The Eagles have proven that. Hence why Jalen Hurts was able to be amicable with the cap space, the cap relief, or whatever it may be, or Devontae Smith. He could have got way more than what he got. He could have got his draft mate, Jalen Waddle. They've had similar production their entire careers. Similar production. Devontae's been healthier, but their production's been pretty similar for the most part.
He got paid.
Jalen Waddle got paid like $28, $29 million a year, something like that, 28.2. Devontae said, "Yeah, I'm cool with 25." And then when he got the money, everybody asked Devontae, a lot of wide receivers. It was last offseason, 2024 offseason. All the wide receivers getting paid. Amon-Ra St. Brown got paid. Calvin Ridley got paid. AJ Brown got re-upped. Tyreek Hill got restructured. DK got all that money. I'm trying. Who else? A lot of them got paid. So, Devontae was like, "Look, for one, I don't count another man's pockets."
He said, "I'm good." That's a personality thing.
He said, "I got what I felt was right for me," and I'm like, I respect that so much because honestly, when you start getting into that bracket, 25 million versus 28 million, what do we can get in the same clubs, we can buy the same stuff. We could
You ain't gonna spend it.
You ain't gonna like, you know what I mean? And
he seemed like a real down to earth dude.
Yeah,
he seemed like he's not the dude with the 3 Lambos and the Benz Jeep, and he got one that he's good with, and then you got AJ. Every now and then he'll still pull through in the Honda
Acura.
You know what I mean? So you have a little bit of you have a lot of down to earth at diva spots.
And they try to say AJ is a diva, but I don't think he is though.
He's not.
He's not. Like I feel like people who say that about him are just scarred from T.O. And
yes,
they don't want
that they are scarred from T.O. And I just think the expectation from a wide receiver at his level. Now, I will say sometimes when he's complaining or something like that, I don't think it's coming from a place of being
me. I don't think so either.
Yeah, even with the whole situation that popped off last year, and it was like I wasn't getting that vibe at all. But the public is only used to one particular way, so that's all they had to go by. And I remember we had many conversations about this. I was like, AJ Brown was right. The passing game was not up to snuff.
It was like,
and because he said it, everybody, number one, everybody in the media went nuts. And number two, and this is the thing, this all connects at the Super Bowl. When that moment when Devontae Smith went up to Jalen Hurts and was like, man, I love you, man. Like, you can look into that conversation right there. It was a lot going on. So Jalen had to take some things on, and he had to course correct.
Even AJ, when AJ embraced him, like you could tell.
Absolutely.
You could tell that. Matter of fact, when Jalen and AJ were talking, I think Jalen said, it took a lot to get here.
Hell yeah.
It took a lot to get here. But we did it.
Yep.
We did it. I love Jalen Hurts on the sideline throughout that whole thing because
I'm still mad that they took him out the game.
Yeah, that conversation was funny. Did you see that conversation between him and Sirianni?
I was mad at Sirianni. I was like, man, I want about 14 more points.
Jalen wanted to.
I wanted 50. I wanted 50, bro. I wanted 50.
After he had that conversation with Sirianni, right? Jalen walked back to the guys. He went back to Smitty and AJ and all the guys, Jahan, And Jalen basically was like, man, I was trying to get back out there. You know what I'm saying? Devontae was like, kick them while they down, huh? Kick them while they down, huh?
That was the perfect time. That was the perfect time for play action and the screen to Saquon. That was the perfect time.
Oh, man.
We was gutting them. I wanted 50 points.
No, I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to. I mean, we embarrassed them already, but I wanted to.
No, I wanted to thoroughly.
I was mad when they leave no remains.
I was mad when they had them backup safeties in there. I was pissed.
I wanted to go scorched earth.
Yes.
On these dudes.
Yes, leave no doubt.
But you're right. Like this team, no matter the narratives out there, the results indicate that this team has almost no. Well, let me not say no ego. You don't get to this level without having some kind of ego, right?
Right.
But when it comes to just understanding the overall objective, doing your job, doing what it takes to win, this team has no ego. And the fact that I'm sure they had some tough conversations throughout the season, like all organizations do, like all teams do. All these teams are having tough conversations. I think it's funny how people try to act like it's exclusive to the Eagles, but all these teams are having tough conversations in those locker rooms amongst each other, trying to figure out the best way to get to the overall mission. And I'm sure Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Smitty, and them boys had some real tough conversations. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if AJ and Jalen Hurts' relationship shifted since becoming teammates, because they've been through a lot of wars together.
They super tight.
They've been to the highest of the highs. They've experienced the lows of the lows together. You know, that 2023 season would test anybody's resolve.
Right.
And they came back, they weathered the storm, and they got the job done. And those are the stories I love in sports.
Absolutely.
Those are the stories I love in sports. When you reach the mountaintop and then you get humbled and you think you got a chance to go back and you get humbled again. And then you finally get another crack at it. And you leave with the girl, you leave with the prom queen, you leave with that trophy. Like, I love the Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith arc. I love it.
Exactly, all three of them. And you don't, a lot of times you get one. Most times you get one. A lot of times you might have a duo, but rarely do you have a quad.
Right.
You got a quad on offense.
Yeah.
Where if you had AJ and Devontae, or if you had AJ and Jalen, or if you had Saquon and AJ, like any two of those, that combo, we got all four, and all four of them in lockstep.
And they're all signed through, I think, 2028, 2029, something like that. It's pretty spooky.
I love it when Saquon had the reverse hurdle, and they kept showing them clips of everybody else's reactions.
Everybody was like, AJ
was on the field.
AJ was like,
he was just like, man, go ahead on with that.
Yeah. And even Devontae was like, I think he was on Carmelo Anthony's podcast, 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. And he mentioned this specifically. He was like, you know, when Saquon start growling, we just let him cook.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it's like, when you got a guy like that on your roster, they not crazy. Smitty and AJ not crazy.
They're not crazy. I remember when they caught Smitty on the sideline in practice, in camp, and Saquon put a move on somebody, and Smitty was like,
he was like,
never said a word. He's just like, you already know.
Right. So, these guys, I think we're in one of the greatest eras, if not the greatest era in Eagles history right now. And I'm going there. I'm going there, man. I don't mean no.
You know what?
I don't mean no disrespect to my OGs. I really don't. Shout out to my man Seth
Jordan. That has validity.
Shout out to you.
That has validity. That has validity, man.
I just think they're clicking on all cylinders right now. They're clicking on all cylinders, and now they know how to do it. Learning how to win at times can be more difficult than winning in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like learning how to do it. You know, LeBron had to leave Cleveland to learn how to win. You know, he had to leave.
But he won in Cleveland.
I'm talking about winning the big one. He did make it to the finals, but he was the Spurs, that Spurs team versus that Cavs team. It was dope. LeBron, that was what LeBron, what, year 1, year 2?
Something like that, yeah.
But my point is though, like when you learn how to do it, you learn what it takes. Because you can get there and lose. And it's some people that don't go back. They don't go back. Jalen Hurts broke a trend. He's only like the 5th quarterback ever to lose Super Bowl and go back and win it.
Yeah.
Guys, that doesn't happen. So Joe Burrow, the odds are not on his side.
Especially being in Cincinnati right now.
I wasn't gonna say that, but
I can say it.
The odds are not on his side, right? I'm trying to think who else went and didn't win. It's been my home city the past several years. Brock Purdy, the odds are not on his side. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's not easy to get. It's not easy to get there. It's not easy to win it. So learning how to get there, okay. Getting there is one thing. Learning how to win it is a whole different monster.
A whole different ball game. But it's not. It's so. I really think people misunderstand how supremely difficult it is. That's what makes Patrick Mahomes so great. That's what makes Tom Brady so great, and Peyton Manning, and what's your boy in Denver, John Elway,
yeah.
Joe Montana. I mean, heck, Joe Montana, as good as he was when he went to Kansas City, he could get it. He could make it happen.
It's difficult, bro. Cam couldn't do it.
Supremely difficult.
That Panthers team was legit. Couldn't do it. It's difficult. You know, I'm trying to think who else went and didn't go back.
Who didn't go back?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of them. Cam.
All right, let's see here.
Cam Newton didn't go back.
I'm trying to remember the previous Super Bowls here. The previous Super Bowls have included Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo,
Matt Ryan,
Jared Goff. Okay, there we go. Jared Goff been to a Super Bowl with the Rams.
Look at your boy with the greatest show on turf. Aaron McNair. He never went back.
Oh yeah, Steve McNair. Yeah.
He never. Did I say Cam already? Yep, Cam.
Yeah, we said Cam already. Matt Ryan. It's not easy. So when you get there, you better win it. Oh, Jared Goff went there with the Rams. He ain't been back since. He's come close.
Close don't count. Horseshoes and hand grenades,
but close doesn't count. You know, it's very difficult to get there, lose, and try to come back and win it. It's difficult.
Nah, Drew Brees got one, bro.
Drew Brees got there on the first try and won.
He got one.
Yeah, he won. You know, Jake Delhomme.
I forgot about him. See, that's the other thing. How many quarterbacks have we forgot about? How many losing quarterbacks have we forgot about? They made it to the Super Bowl and then nothing else.
Rex Grossman.
Oh, good grief.
Oh my God. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, Rex Grossman.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G. Yeah.
Jimmy G.
Donovan McNabb.
Donnie Mack.
He never
made it back.
He never went back. He went to that one loss, never went back.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, it just so happens that there's so much Patriots dominance here. It's like, you know, it's not many examples, but you know, it's just difficult, man. It's difficult to do what Jalen Hurts has done. It's difficult to play that game in general. You know, it's difficult to do. It's difficult to do what Lamar Jackson does. It's difficult. You know what I'm saying? It's not all on Lamar. It's not all on Jalen. It's not all on Joe. It's not all on Josh. Now, when we have our sports discourse and we're being, you know, catty, you know, it's always fun to, you know, dismiss a guy and say, oh no, you know, he can't get it done. You know, it's that discourse has its place in sports. You know, at the water cooler, you know, at the barbershop, whatever. But overall, though, when I truly sit back and think about the game as an adult with a rational mind, I don't look at Josh Allen and say he's the sole reason they can't get over the hump. I don't look at Lamar Jackson and say he's the sole reason they can't get off the hump. I don't.
I don't realize Hurts was the only one to win a rematch. Interesting.
Oh yeah,
a rematch.
Oh yeah, he debunked a few things actually.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the rematch.
About that. I didn't think about that either. Typically, teams don't win typically the team that lost the first match don't win the rematch. That came up, I think, in the Super Bowl. You know, leading up to it. Damn, Cody, that's a good pull by you. I completely forgot about that. Because Brady couldn't beat Eli for some reason.
Dude.
It's like
people forget that was the only year I was pulling for the Patriots. I wanted the Patriots to go undefeated, and I wanted Randy Moss to get a ring. And they lost to freaking Eli Manning.
It's like losing to Eli is like you ever see that movie The Ringer?
No. I know what you're talking about though.
With what's my man from Jackass? Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
Losing to Eli Manning is like losing to The Ringer. It's like it's like from a bird's eye view, you look at him like, nah, I got this. And then you play him, it's like, wait, I lost. It happened so fast.
Yeah, man.
Eli Manning is a interesting case study.
He gonna end up getting in the hall though.
Yeah, man.
He gonna end up getting it. When you get them 2 chips, man, I can't. Even though one was with the lucky catch on the side of the helmet, but
the David Tyree catch, right?
Yeah, it is what it is. I can't hit on him.
Hey, listen, Ty Brady got one of those catches with Edelman. Remember, I think Edelman had one of those crazy catches. I think he caught it on his helmet or he caught it. It was weird. But yeah, man, like these guys have difficult jobs, bro. They have difficult jobs, and as much as I like to talk my trash, I truly in my heart recognize that it's not all Lamar's fault. It's not all Josh Allen's
absolutely,
fault.
Man.
It's not all Joe Burrow's fault. You know, it's fun. It's fun to talk trash like that, though. But it's really not all his fault.
If he had to thrown that ball in the dirt, then you might have a conversation. But he hit the dude in the hands, and he would have. All you play for in the league, because everybody's not going to dominate. You play for your opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get the opportunity, you have to capitalize on it. And I thought that he did. He got him down there, got him to the goal line, put the ball in the dude's hands. To me,
his best receiver's hands.
That was no different. And I'm going to go back a ways. That was no different than I believe when Ernest Biner dropped that ball for the Browns.
Oh, you taking it back?
Hey, I'm going way back.
I'm taking it back.
Because the Browns wasn't winning anything. And when I think when Bynum, if he catches that ball, they go to the Super Bowl, I believe. Can't remember. We going way, way back. But it's the same situation. When you play for the opportunity, and then when you get the opportunity, you got to take advantage of it. How many times and you know what? I'll give him credit. When Washington beat us, Jaden Daniels got the opportunity to go down and get in the red zone.
Yeah.
And he capitalized on it. Now, if the defense does what we hope that they would have done, we have a different conversation. But he did his thing. He ran and he made it happen. Avoided the sack. All of that type. So he did what he had to do. He made the most of his opportunity. Everybody doesn't do that. Everybody doesn't do that.
Yeah, man. That game needed to happen though. When I think about everything in hindsight, I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change it. Everything happened for a reason.
Smitty dropped the ball. He catches 100 times. That's the only reason they got to that point. If Smitty catches that ball, it's a first down. We run out the clock. Game over.
I think if he catches it, that's a touchdown. Actually,
I agree. And at the very least, we get the ball. They tackle him, but we still run out the clock. I would like to think that Smitty would have had enough wherewithal not to run out of bounds.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah, man. We can start to close it. I mean, I think overall, when we look at this Eagles team and we think about a Super Bowl window, we think about how talented this team is. You think about guys like Quinyon Mitchell, you draft, Cooper DeJean, you draft, Jalen Hunt, you draft, Jalen Carter, you drafted, Nolan Smith, you drafted, Moro Ojomo, you drafted him. You drafted, you signed Reed Blankenship as an undrafted free agent, but he's a part of a draft class technically. You found Zach Bond, a diamond in the rough. You drafted Kobe Dean. You draft Devontae. You draft Jalen Hurts. You trade for AJ. You build this team. You draft Lane Johnson. You draft Jordan Mailata. You draft Cam Jurgens. You draft Landon Dickerson. Like when you really start thinking about this Eagles team, the window is as open as they want it to be. It's as open as they want it to be. And the fact that they know how to do it, they know how to win. You got guys that got that championship DNA now, that championship pedigree. That stuff goes a long way.
The expectation to win.
It goes a long way.
People who know how to do that. To know how to do that. What is that? What is that when who did we sign? I remember hearing a clip about this. This was 3 years ago. After 2022, we signed somebody, And I think AJ Brown said something to the dude like, "Hey, we don't do that. We win around here." I'm trying to remember who that was. Well, he said that comment too. It's like, "Hey, I don't know what you're used to, but we win around here." So
you said this is going into the 2022 season?
I
Had to
think,
be.
I
Had to
think.
be. Who
I
was he
can't
talking
remember
about?
who it was.
I don't know. That's a good question, man.
Yeah, that just popped in my head. But just to be at a place where you can say that.
And also, when you draft guys like Jahad Campbell, like Andrew McCluba, like Drew Kendall, like Ty Robinson, right? Smile Mondon, Antoine Paul Ryland, Miles Hinton, Cameron, the other offensive lineman they brought in. When you drafted into a situation like this, the team that just won a Super Bowl, the way they carry themselves, you were grown men, the way they move, you fall in line. Like Reed Blankenship and Cooper DeJean on their podcast, they've been talking a lot about how the young guys, like they hungry, they fitting right in. You know what I'm saying? They understand like those guys are like Reed Blankenship. Like you can tell his genuine. He's like, yo, these young guys, man, they want
Blunt,
it.
to your point, we reloaded. We reloaded.
Flipped it.
We didn't have to replace. We didn't have to flip. We reloaded at every position.
Yeah, man. You definitely to do what Howard Roseman did with that defense, it's difficult. You rolling the dice a lot. Everything is a roll of the dice, but
yeah, everything. But
you got to make sure you put your players. You want to make sure you bet on a table that's hot. So what I'm trying to say is like Vic Fangio, you made sure that okay, if I'm going to bet on these players, let me put my chips on Vic Fangio's table.
Exactly.
I think I think my money can grow there.
You play the hand for me. You sit down and you play the cards. I'm gonna feed you the chips. I'm gonna let you work. You know what I mean? So and the one thing, think about it like this, and this is the beauty of Howie Roseman. You got to think. You really have to think. When's the last time he missed on draft picks?
For real?
Now he's definitely missed, but my point is, you got to think about it. Like you got.
I ain't gonna lie, Jalen Reagor is like etched in my brain.
Right,
like that's like.
But my point is,
I
overall,
mean, so much has happened since then. By the way,
exactly. Think about really think about it. Jalen Reagor is an obvious one, right? But I can say the same thing about signing Slay or signing AJ. That's an obvious home run. So take the obvious ones off the table. And the fact that you have to think, like you got to
go through draft classes. You got to be like,
you got to like, when was the last one he missed?
Right. And what qualifies as a miss, right? Is it third rounder up, fourth rounder up? Because when you get to the 5th, 6th, 7th round, everybody's gambling at that point.
Exactly.
It's
that's when he does his best work,
which is interesting.
Yeah,
because he's been building his roster a lot with those guys.
Howie's formula for drafting, to me, there's no better representation, and I know it manifested in a weird way because of Jason Kelsey when they got Cam Jurgens. So you got in a conversation with your Hall of Fame center that's about to walk away from the game. And he learned enough watching you and said, let me find my replacement. And you trusted him to do that. And damn it if he didn't do it. And knock it out of the park. Yeah. Whatever that formula is, it's working. And it's something that's teachable because you got a active player that can learn that formula and apply it and find his replacement. And that replacement steps in a year and is playing up the form. We ain't thought about Cam Jurgens. And the only time you mention offensive linemen is if they give up a sack or get a penalty.
You know what's remarkable too? The Eagles haven't drafted an offensive lineman in the first round since 2019. And I've been saying this like the Eagles, the way they position their farm system and their coaching when it comes to offensive line play, Jeff Stoutland, they don't ever need to draft an offensive lineman in the first round. Because some people was like, yeah, we got to find a lane replacement. You got to find a lane replacement. I know a lot of people think about that. My thing is, because they're the Eagles, because they got Jeff Stoutland, they really don't. A, they don't have to be in a rush. 2, they don't got to draft the guy in the first round. They don't got to reach for the guy. You get what I'm saying? They can literally find a guy they like traits. You know what I mean? Oh, okay, height. Okay, trait. Okay, I could build that. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at some of these draft classes, and you really got to go back. You really got to go back to 2020. But even the 2020 draft, I still look at that draft class and I say to myself, okay, Jalen Reagor didn't hit, right? You drafted your Super Bowl MVP quarterback.
Right.
That alone can cover up a lot of warts from a draft class. If you found the quarterback.
Absolutely.
You found the quarterback. You found the quarterback you can win with.
Quarterback makes everybody look better. But
even though Quez Watkins didn't become the player that even though Quez Watkins was a little funny money, Quez Watkins,
he had his moments.
He had his moments. He was serviceable, especially in 2022. He had his moments. He wasn't a lost cause. I wouldn't say that. He wasn't
a bust.
Granted, drafted in the 6th round, but he wasn't a lost cause. Jack Driscoll wasn't a lost cause. Jack Driscoll played a lot of quality snaps for the Eagles.
Agreed.
Right tackle, guard. Jack Driscoll was a very pivotal rotational offensive line for the Eagles. But other than that, Jalen Hurts, Jack Driscoll, and Quez Watkins, those are the only play. Sean Bradley was a pivotal special teams guy.
Look what they just did with Jalen Hunt.
Yeah, man. Jalen
Hunt come from a school that most of y'all never heard of.
Houston Christian. That sounded like seminary school.
And he was a safety.
Transformed his body.
Man, talent development.
Mm-hmm.
That is somebody's watching tape and understanding and seeing things that everybody else is not seeing.
Mm-hmm.
We the best in the business at it.
It's a fact, man.
Don't get mad. If you're gonna be mad, you be mad by yourself.
Yeah.
They say don't leave mad, just leave.
Don't leave mad, just leave. that's old school, huh?
Man, listen. Howie continues to handle his business and does everything he needs to do, from the research, from scouting, from being hands off when he needs to be hands off, and being hands on when he needs to be hands on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like, and again, to my point, like when you really got to sit down and think about the players that he missed on. Yeah. Yes, he's missed, but you really got to think about it because we've had so many good players.
Yeah, that's a good point. And again, like, are we just talking when we say miss? Like, do we have a round where we're cutting it off at? Like
I'm just looking at you,
or just looking at the totality.
You look at somebody like Reagor. You look at somebody. I wouldn't even call Quez, because when was Quez drafted?
Quez was drafted in 2020.
Yeah, but what round was he?
Oh, Quez was a 6th round pick.
Yeah, so I'm talking about high draft picks.
Okay, so let's just say so day 1 and day 2 basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Who are his misses?
I mean, let's real quick. Let's just start from 2024 and go back. Let's just talk day 1 and day 2. Okay. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jalen Hunt, day 1 and day 2. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, and Sidney Brown.
You can go down to 3. Heck, you can go down to 3 and 4 if you really want to.
Okay. All right. So let's go to 4 because it's 7 rounds. Let's go rounds 1 through 4. Rounds 1 through 4, right? So Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jalen Hunt, Will Shipley. I don't think you missed on none of those players.
Nope.
Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, Sidney Brown.
Nope.
Sidney Brown. I don't think you missed on. Oh, and Keely Ringo. I don't think you missed on none of those players. You know why? Obviously, for obvious reasons, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Tyler Steen, they've given you quality snaps all across the board. But when it comes to Sidney Brown and Keely Ringo, their careers are still in the process of being defined about whether or not they're going to be starters or not.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sidney Brown already was a starter until he got hurt. So take him off the list.
Right, and they've also already proven that they can still play on this level as far as special teams goes. They're impactful special teams players. They're very good special teams players. Keely Ringo, Sidney Brown were legit special teams players this year for the Eagles. They tackled so well. And the field position battle is arguably one of the most important battles. So that's 2023. 2022, Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, and Cooper DeJean. I don't see no misses there.
Nope.
2021, Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson, Milton Williams, Zach McPherson. Obviously, Zach McPherson was a special teamer for the most part, but Milton Williams, Landon Dickerson, Devontae Smith, those are all wins.
Yep. You got to reach, man. You got to really do the research to find one.
Right. And then 2020, Jalen Reagor, Jalen Hurts, Davion Taylor, Kevon Wallace, Jack Driscoll. So out of those first
Taylor, maybe?
Davion Taylor, he had a moment where he was trending up, but then he got hurt and he never recovered.
Well, I would put him on that list because as soon as you said it, I was like, who? I had to who was that? Like
the linebacker we got from Colorado.
Yeah. So okay, that was a miss.
Yeah, that was a miss.
So what year we in now?
That's 2020. But you found Jalen Hurts and Jack Driscoll. Those are good pickups. And then 2019, you got Andre Dillard, Miles Sanders, Osega Whiteside, Sharif. So Miles Sanders was really the only hit from that draft class. But 2018, I like to start it at 2018.
Okay,
because that's after we won the Super Bowl. Dallas Goedert, Devontae Maddox, Josh Sweat, Matt Pryor, Jordan Mailata. Pryor is back on his roster now because Matt Pryor has shown to be a solid rotational interior offensive lineman. Matt Pryor has been when he got traded from the Eagles to the Colts, he's been making a lot of money, doing what he's been doing. And he played a lot of reps for the Bears last year. But Jordan Mailata, we know what that became. Josh Sweat, we know what he became. Avonte Maddox, say what you want about him. Avonte Maddox was serviceable to a point.
No, he's not a miss. He's not.
I don't think Avonte Maddox is a miss at all.
Not at all.
You made it to a Super Bowl with Avonte Maddox being in your slot.
Yep. You got a couple good starting years out of him.
Yeah, you had some pretty good years out of Avonte. Then he started getting hurt, and things got a little funny. And then Dallas Goedert, obviously, we know what that was. So, yeah, man, Howie Roseman has significantly more hits than misses, if you ask me.
So the whiffs, Reagor and Arthega Whiteside.
And Dillard.
Dillard was a miss?
I think Dillard was a miss. You drafted him in the first round. He got beat up by a 7th rounder.
Okay. Facts. So that's 3. And we had to go how far did we have to go back?
We had to go back to 2019, 2018. Like,
listen,
we started
going
back.
Howie Roseman is like Tony Gwynn. Every time he got up to the plate, he put the bat on the ball.
Yeah, now that I think about it, when you just keep it rounds 1 through 4, he really doesn't have many misses, dog. He doesn't.
And that's where the money is. We got
Eagles fans.
We got Tony Gwynn as a GM, bro. Every time he steps up to the plate, he is getting a hit. He is putting the bat on the ball. Now, every now and then, there's not many strikeouts. Now, he might grind out. He might pop out. He might hit a long fly. But he puts the bat on the ball. And more times than not, man, we come out ahead.
Yeah, Aishan Mailata was drafted, by the way. He was drafted in the 7th round.
Yeah.
He was drafted in the 7th. And we did get fortunate, as blunt to your point. We definitely got fortunate with Jordan Mailata. He was drafted a year before Andre Dillard. And the Eagles knew that Mailata was a project, so he was putting in work behind the scenes. But Dillard's problem, in my humble opinion, wasn't talent; it was mentality.
Yeah, I agree.
Every criticism he ever got was mentality based.
That's a real thing. You get in your own head, you get the yips, all of that type of stuff. It manifests different ways in different sports, but it's all the same thing. It's a mental. How come Dillard couldn't get over the hump, but Becton could?
I heard Dillard didn't want to be cross-trained. He didn't want to play guard if necessary. Like,
right.
I heard Dillard just didn't want to do everything possible to get on the football field.
Yeah.
Got into it with Derek.
You got to be willing to take your you got to humble yourself and be able to, like, hey, you got to be able to accept somebody telling you, like, hey, you might not be as good as you think you are doing this. Let me let you do something different. And again, I use that same comparison with Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton is a tackle.
He was willing. You got to be willing
to do it.
If you're willing, anything is possible. Because I know, as Bum was saying, Dillard couldn't play. He can only play left tackle. But in my opinion, that's a mind thing.
Yeah.
That's a mindset thing, if you ask me. Shout out to my man S. Blunt, man. Always providing good commentary for the show. That's a mindset thing. Like, Dillard, he could have became a left guard because that's something we talked about. You know, I remember Jason Peters. I think Jason Peters was hurt or he came back or whatever, and then they moved Dillard to guard and I can't remember exactly how it went, but regardless, though, it's a mindset thing. How badly do you want to get on the football field?
Exactly.
How badly do you want to play? How badly do you want to make an impact? Mekhi Becton said, hey, coach, whatever you need me to do. Guard, bet. Let's get it done. You know what I'm saying? We'll see, man. We'll see. Like, I think this Eagles team, their window is wide open.
I agree.
I think they have the perfect personalities for the city, for the organization, for this era that we're in right now. I'm very comfortable. I'm very comfortable in my midnight green. Very comfortable.
I can't wait. I want to see. I have no questions about our offense whatsoever. None.
Mm-hmm.
Zero. All of my question marks are specifically Keely Ringo, Sidney Brown,
which is fair,
and Moro Ojomo.
You have questions about Moro?
No, I don't have questions about him.
You're eager to see what he does.
I want to see how he's going to perform. That's all.
Okay, fair enough.
That's all. I just want to see. I'm really hoping that, like, he's another kid exactly like Milt Williams that was just waiting for his opportunity.
I think Moro's going to.
Now it's here.
I think
now it's here. So, Blunt, I think Brown and Makuba, that's going to be a good battle.
Throw Tristan McCullum in there because Vic Fangio, he was very intentional about throwing in Tristan McCullum into that conversation. And I didn't realize Tristan McCullum was such a physical force. Like, do you know his measurables?
McCullum, no, not offhand.
Yo, Tristan McCullum. Look at his measurables. I think you kind of want him to win that job, low-key, when you think about the measurables. Tristan McCullum, 6'3", 195.
Okay.
At safety. Now, look, we drafted Andrew McCluba. I like Sidney Brown, I like all those guys. But Tristan McCullum, and he's a young guy. He's 26.
Okay.
26, came into the league at 24 years old. You know, was a late bloomer with the same Houston State. Wasn't drafted. But Tristan McCullum at 6'3", 195, if he can figure it out.
I mean, I got to see his speed, but
and again, I got to see his speed. And that's why I love that Vic Fangio threw him in that conveation.
Okay.
He's like, listen, yeah, Sidney, you know, Tristan, I mean, Sidney and Andrew, you be like those guys, like Tristan McCullum, he's here. And Vic Fangio does not mince words. He doesn't say anything he doesn't want to say. He doesn't speak about anything that he doesn't believe in.
Correct. He keeps it to the point.
Right. If he don't want to talk about it, he'll say next question. If he do want to talk about it, he'll give you his answer. It's just that it's some guys that don't know how to bullshit you.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys.
I'm gonna have to do some homework on him because I did not.
Yeah, when he mentioned Tristan McCullum, because I was under the impression this was a two-horse race, because the media thought that too, and then he said, yeah, and throw Tristan McCullum in that conversation as well. All those guys, it's a competition for sure. I was like, huh, what's he seeing that the fan base isn't privy to? How he felt about Keely Ringo when they asked him, does he have any questions about Keely Ringo? Losing Slay and Isaiah Rodgers, all those guys. He said, yo, all Keely need is reps.
Reps.
When he said that, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That made me feel better about Keely Ringo personally. He said, all he need is reps. He said, it's up to us to give him those reps. That's all he need.
Yeah. Will Blankenship be extended? I hope so. I like
Blankenship. I think they should extend him. I think Blankenship is a glue guy. I know he's not the most dynamic when you think about safeties, but he's a glue guy. He does his job. He gets guys in the right positions. I like Reed Blankenship, man. I always have. I liked him from the moment we brought him in. I liked him from the moment he picked off Aaron Rodgers. That's when he caught me. Then he got me. Then
he knows his limitations and he knows where he's supposed to be.
Because that interception wasn't just a fluke interception. It wasn't like a tip ball. He read Aaron Rodgers and he jumped the route. That's when I knew, oh no, he's a smart player.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You ever notice another linebacker for training camp with injuries? They'll probably do that.
They might. You ever notice all Reed Blankenship's interceptions look exactly the same?
Yes.
It's always him shooting downhill.
And I'm good with that.
I'm cool with it too.
That's that. You know what? That's film study. Knowing where the break is coming, knowing down and distance, knowing the percentages, and then acting on it.
Mm-hmm.
You win some, you lose some.
Reed forces a lot of turnovers for the Eagles. That people just, oh no, he's not gonna. Reed has flipped the field for the Eagles a lot.
He knows where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, man.
We had a guy like Reed. I think Reed is better. When I was playing, the guy we had came down from New York, Rich Miana. Another white safety that we had back in '93. Wasn't the fastest, but knew where he was supposed to be on the field. It's the fastest way you can make a team is you know the playbook, you know the defense, you know the scheme.
Ooh, I like this. Put this on screen by James.
Who?
James is at the bottom. I like that. I like this take.
Absolutely. 100%.
James 100%. Says, for those of people who are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whatever it may be, James says, smart players around elite talent is a good combo. I like this take because Reed understands the game, but when you surround him by guys that are probably more athletic than him, more dynamic, just more talented, he can put those guys in positions to display that talent, to especially dealing with young guys, right? Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, guys like that. Like a guy with Reed Blankenship's IQ, and you pair him with talented guys. Maybe they don't have the experience, but they're talented. That's a recipe for success. I James. That's the take of the day. I like that take a lot. That's my favorite take of the day.
You know what's funny? Who's the youngest guy on our defense now? The youngest guy in our secondary?
That's Keely, I think, right?
Yeah.
Keely's the youngest, technically. Keely's younger than Quinyon, believe it or not.
Yeah, but the reason I'm saying that is because I'm not really talking about age. I'm talking about snaps.
Oh, snaps? Oh, then you got to go Keely Ringo.
Yeah.
You got to. You definitely got to.
I think Keely is ready.
I think so too, bro.
I can't really give you anything to prove it. Like I always say, if you don't think Keely's ready, I can't convince you.
Right. I ain't got nothing to substantiate it.
I ain't got nothing to substantiate.
But I got a feeling Keely is ready to go.
I got a feeling with Keely the same way we had that feeling with Zach Bond. Remember when we talked with Zach Bond sign?
We talked about this.
We talked about it. And
me and you were very early on this train.
Every time that man got on the field down in New Orleans, he made something happen. And it was like he got lost in the sauce.
Yeah, and man.
He gets up here and earns $51 million. So guess what? If Vic Fangio says all he needs is snaps, then damn it, he gonna get snaps.
Yo, seriously,
So
I'm betting this guy, man. I feel again, I ain't got nothing to substantiate it. We ain't got nothing for y'all, but a dream and a gut feeling.
Right.
That's about it. But we're gonna close the show, man. It's been dope. Like,
yeah, man. Good conversation, bro.
Thank you guys for the super chats. Man, you always have great conversations, man. And I think people really tune in for us just to really just have that discourse, man. So I appreciate you always for making yourself available, man. I love this show that we do here. I want to do this for as long as possible. And we appreciate you guys for always supporting both our channels. Please subscribe to Pro Fan Talk. My man, Coach Marcus, does phenomenal work covering not only your Philadelphia Eagles and the NFL, but covering the WNBA. He does phenomenal work. Attention to detail is magnifique. Make sure you guys also are subscribed to my channel as well, Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. You guys are truly phenomenal, man. And last word from me, not only is the personnel top-notch in Philadelphia, the coaching staff is legitimate. The entire defensive coaching staff came back.
Absolutely.
The entire defensive coaching staff came back. So that makes me feel great about this team going forward, because I think the defense is going to start off stronger this year than they did the year before. Now they know what to do.
Agreed.
So any final words from you, Marcus?
Nah, man. Let's just get through another week. Let's get one step closer, man. I don't think there's going to be any more moves made until camp actually starts, and we'll bring in a couple of camp bodies. That's always what happens, man. So just, I would love to hear a little bit more information about Jihad, how his rehab's going. Mm-hmm. I'm going to reach out to Nicole DeJean to see how his rehab is going.
Right.
And we just biding our time, man, until it's time to put him on.
Yep. And like James said, smart players around elite talent is a good combo.
Yep.
And it's straight like that. Marcus, take us home, man.
You got it, man. We out of here. Go Birds.
In the city of Philly, where the birds take flight, Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Marcus got the scoop ready to ignite, from the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. Fly guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. I like an eagle soaring in the sky. Tone and Marcus always standing by, bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, get it back.